All right, everybody, thanks for staying with us late here tonight. We got head coach Patrick Murphy here, and we'll, as usual, start with an opening statement, and then we'll open up for questions after that.
Hey, thanks a lot for being on, you guys, and sorry it is so late, but again, this is like Christmas morning for me, and it's 22 years in a row that we've been invited into the NCAA tournament, and obviously it was an automatic qualification this year, and we knew we were getting in, but to see Alabama on the screen, it just means a lot to everybody. And you know what? I asked Stephanie Van Brakel Prothrow when she played for us, and she was here from 03 to 06, and her team was the 5th year, and now we're at 22. So she kind of paved the way for this. But I'm really proud of everybody on this team for continuing that tradition. There's a lot of traditions in this program that just keep going on. And I couldn't be more proud of this group because they really have been one of the best teams to coach. They've been you've heard me say it, but resilient, gritty, competitive, and just a great group.
Reminder, if you have a question, hit the raise hand button and we'll call in one by one. And we'll start off with Michael.
Hey, Pat. It seemed like there was quite a bit of discussion about this bracket when it came out on the ESPN broadcast. As Washington walked out when they saw their name released. It seemed like there's a lot of controversy within the sport just about this bracket. What was your take on, in general, why this bracket came out?
Well, you're going to have that every single year, no matter what happens, really. And it's unfortunate. There's 64 teams, and it's like a big puzzle, and there's 64 pieces, and you got to find a spot for everybody. And then the committee is doing the best that they can do. Every year somebody's going to feel slighted or cheated or whatever you want to call it. And again, it's unfortunate, but I think it's part of the deal.
Go ahead, Katie.
Hey, Coach, kind of bouncing off that, can you just talk about the level of competition in your regional with Clemson regular season ACC champs coming in, and then Troy, who y'all previously faced with Leanna Johnson and her only giving up 2 hits back then. So just kind of preview some of the teams coming into Tuscaloosa.
Well, we'll start with Alabama State. We got to play them twice this year. We actually went down to that tournament, and they were gracious enough to let us in because that was the weekend we got snowed out in Texas. So we played them twice. They came up for a regular season midweek. Troy, they came up to a tournament. Really happy for both Beth and South Alabama and Auburn for getting in. It's representing the state really well. But Troy is a legit team, really good conference in the Sun Belt. They play good softball there. And then obviously Clemson, their coach, we've known him for years, John Rittman, just a great coach, great coaching staff. They're a young program. I think this is really only their 2nd year, their first full year. And for them to do what they did, the first full year is just kudos to them, because I've been in those shoes. And from starting a program from scratch is a very difficult thing. So we're looking forward to welcoming the other 3 teams. And, I think it's going to be a really good regional.
Go ahead, Robert.
Coach, your program has had unprecedented success in the regional round. What has allowed you guys to be so successful, and how do you keep that how do you allow that to continue?
I think, number one, you got to respect your opponent. And when you don't, that's when you get your butt beat. So you respect the heck out of everybody. And the way you do that is to play your best. Because if you play somebody and you run rule them, or it's a hell of a game, they know that you're respecting them. If you go through the motions and, play lazy, they feel disrespected, and that's when they get a chip on their shoulder. So we have tried to take the approach of, we're going to play it one game at a time. We're going to respect the hell out of everybody. And then the other part of it is our fans. And I know the SEC tournament, it was a distinct home field advantage. That's what we were hoping for. You play at home, and, from people watching on TV, from people who were here, they were just amazed at how good the atmosphere was back at the Rhodes House, really all 3 days that we played. And I hope that it's the same this coming weekend.
Go back to Michael.
What was your reaction when you saw Clemson's name pop up on the screen in your regional?
Well, I was kind of surprised. It kind of really reminded me of a couple years ago when we had Minnesota. Minnesota was number 1 team in both polls that year, and they weren't even seeded. And it was a huge surprise to everybody. And obviously the ACC regular season champion, they had a hell of a good year. And so it was a little bit of a surprise. I'm sure they probably felt really disrespected. But, you know, I told the team, I said, it doesn't matter who, you got to beat everybody sometime, somewhere. And this is the start that they gave us. So we're going to take it and run with it.
Right, Katie?
We've talked about it multiple times throughout this year, but just what does the seeding show with so many SEC teams in the top 8 show about the strengths of the conference? And then what does winning the conference tournament, what confidence does that give your team heading into the NCAA tournament?
Well, it's huge. And I think, was it 5? SEC?
Yeah.
5 of the top 8 were SEC. That means if you win, you're going to host super regionals. And obviously that's what you hope for, because everybody has a home field advantage. So top to bottom, the strength of the league was obviously huge. Great respect from throughout the country. I mean, I don't know, that might be the most we've ever had in the top 8. I don't remember what it was a couple of years ago, but I don't think we had 5. So, you know, that says, number one, you scheduled properly. And then number 2, you had to win some games, because you can schedule the toughest schedule in the world, and if you lose everything, you got nothing. So there was a lot of good wins in our conference this year. And then, you know, when you play each other, you kind of beat up on each other, but it just shows the strength of our league from top to bottom.
Go ahead, Brett.
Hey, Coach. Obviously, a lot of coverage on Billy Hemphill and the Montana Fouts this weekend, and rightfully so. But speak on 2 girls in particular, Savannah Woodard and Taylor Clark, stepping in, and seemingly at the beginning of the season, they weren't set to get a lot of playing time, but they've stepped in and taken opportunity right off the bat. And a little bit in the beginning, couple struggles in the middle infield with some errors, but I think I can only remember 2 errors last tournament. They've been unreal at the plate, and they've been making plays on defense. Speak on those 2 and how great they've been.
Well, that's one of the joys of coaching, to see that happen, because they both work extremely hard. They're team players. You know, when they didn't play, they didn't pout. They were cheering for the kid that was starting. So then all of a sudden, boom, 2 injuries happen, and now they're in the starting lineup. And they have taken it like champions. They've still worked hard. You know, Taylor being named all tournament team for the SEC tournament, that's just an incredible, you know, feather in her cap. Savannah, over the last, I think, 11 games or maybe 12, she's led the team in RBIs. You know, she has 14 RBIs in the last 10, 11 games. She has done great things with 2-out RBIs as well. She's been very clutch. And I think everybody on the team is really proud of them. You know, they show nudita to their teammates when they're not playing, but now they're getting it back from Bailey Dowling and Claire Jenkins in particular, because those are the 2 that, you know, they were playing there. And I think both of them are really proud of the 2 on the field.
Go ahead, Robert.
Coach, to be successful, it takes a lot of prep time for you. Are you about to go into the room and start watching film? When does that start for all of you guys?
Well, thank goodness Scott Moyer, our video guy, he's been working his butt off for all season, really. He tapes every single game that's on any network, anytime that says softball. And he's got it in his video warehouse, I guess you'd call it. And so now we know who we play. And obviously we played Troy. We played Alabama State. So probably the biggest thing we need right now is opportunities to watch Clemson. So I'm sure he's going to do that right now. And then probably in the morning when we wake up, it's going to be on our computer and we'll be able to watch whatever we want to watch. So that's the really good thing of softball nowadays. That's been on, you know, we have the SEC network, you have ACC, you have Longhorn, you have ESPN, you know, all of them. So a lot of the games are available.
I'll really give Brett the last question here.
Hey, Coach, last night after the win, you talked about just how great the SEC tournament was, from the weather to the field conditions to the coverage to the fans to all the teams. Obviously, every program, and your program in particular, there's hundreds of behind the scenes women and men who put tournaments and make yourself and the players' lives so much easier and allow this program to run so fluid. Can you speak on how great they've been, in particular these last couple of weeks, and with you guys being able to host hopefully these next couple of weeks as well?
Well, you know, it reminds me of the saying, it takes a village, and it really does. And, you know, one of the things as a student athlete that you never, ever, ever realize until you get to college, it's like, oh my gosh, Nathan Sheehan, what's he do? Well, he's the sports information director for softball. These are all of the things that he does. Who is Lindsay Jones? She's the director of event management for softball. And these are all the things that she does. You know, your strength coach, Michelle Dills, your athletic trainer, AC Atinka, your oversight is Tiffany Grimes. And there's so many people. You know, the ticket lady is Beverly Chandler. And they finally get it, probably throughout a season, that it takes a lot of people to run a Division I team. And it doesn't matter if it's football, softball, golf, tennis, whatever. There's a lot of people behind the scenes working for those kids to have a great experience at Alabama. And just, you know, I was really proud of everybody, the grounds crew. You know, when we did get the SEC schedule, probably about, I don't know, a year ago, I did see that we had Ole Miss the last weekend of the regular season at home. Well, we knew we were going to have the tournament. So I called Lindsay right away and I said, Lindsay, guess what? We're home. We have the SEC, hopefully regionals, and hopefully supers. So she's going to have to work 4 weekends in a row, as are you guys actually. So I appreciate what you do. But we're going to be home. And I think, you know, it's happened before that way. It happened in 2012. We were home for a month. Things worked out pretty good that year. But, you know, I'm glad you brought it up. But just great people behind the scenes. And we try to thank every single one of them.
Thanks for sticking around, everybody.
Yeah, have a good night, you guys. I appreciate it.